Hi, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I can see we've got a few people popped in now, so we'll make a start. We are recording it, so if anybody else pops in along the way, we'll have everything recorded. So good morning and welcome to our Nursery Phonics PIM. My name is Hannah Riddle and I'm the Director of Early Years here. So really nice to meet you virtually online this morning. We have two sets of parents with us this morning. Some parents might be our current nursery parents, so you might have a child in nursery currently. And then we've also invited our new for FS2 parents for next year. So you might also have a child in nursery or at home somewhere else, and they're coming to Al Yasmina for FS2 next year. So we just thought it was a really good opportunity to get you all together, because phonics is one of the most important things that we do as an early years team and teach your children. And it's really, really beneficial, proven statistically, that having parents knowledgeable and on board with the phonics being taught in school that can be supported at home is so beneficial for your children. So the point of this meeting is for you to learn how we teach it at school, why we teach it like that, and it can be quite technical and confusing for parents, and particularly if English is not your first language. So why we teach it at school the way we do, and then there'll also be some tips for support for helping your children at home, and also how you can help them get ready for FS2 with their phonics and things as well. So I'm going to hand you over in a minute to two ladies. If you're a current parent, you'll definitely know Miss Kirkby. She's our head of nursery, and she's going to talk to you a little bit about what we're doing in nursery now. And if you have children that are not in our nursery, things that you might be able to do with them at home. And then I'm going to hand you over to Miss Kadora. Miss Kadora is our phonics lead teacher in FS2, and she's also going to be head of FS2 next academic year. So as you'll go through, Miss Kadora will become quite an important person in your child's experience here at Al Yasmina. So I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to hand you over to Ms. Kirkby, who is going to begin your PIM today. If you do have any questions, I have left the chat open. Feel free to drop a question in the chat if you want to, but we will also do some questions at the end. So if you've got a question that you want to ask verbally at the end, please feel free to do it then. But if there's something you want to know as we go along, just pop it in the chat and one of us will try and answer as we go. So I'm going to unspotlight myself and hand you over to Miss Kirkby. Thanks, Miss Kirkby.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Thank you all for joining us. I'm just going to share a presentation now. And as Ms. Riddle said, if you have any questions, please just pop them into the chat and we'll try and answer them as we go along. So I'm just going to share my screen so you can see the presentation that we've prepared. Okay, so did you know that the English language has 26 letters, 44 sounds, and over 100 ways to spell those sounds? And it's actually one of the most complex languages to learn. So as you can imagine, in nursery and FS2, it's quite a challenging job to teach the children phonics, to give them the understanding of the concept of sounds, how we blend them together to make words. But it's a job that we do well here at Al Yasmina. The children love their phonics lessons. We make them fun, interactive and engaging, which is why the children love it so much and how the sounds are retained so well within the children. So the understanding of the jargon that we call it. So phonics, the teaching of reading by developing awareness of sounds in words and the corresponding letters used to represent those sounds. So a phoneme, any of those 44 sounds which make up the words in the English language. A grapheme, how a phoneme is written down. There can be more than one way to spell a phoneme. For example, A is spelled differently in each of the words: way, make, fail, great, slay, and lady. So as you can see, it's very complex and very difficult for a child. You know, we teach them the A sound or the at sound, and then they can make so many different words using that sound. Blending, so putting together those sounds in word and order to read. So, for example, is frog, and then segmenting, so breaking a word into its constituent sounds in order to spell them. Example, frog again, so spells frog. So the big question is, what is phonics? So phonics is a method for teaching, reading and writing, and it's used throughout the whole of the primary school in our Yasmina Academy. So it develops phonemic awareness, the ability to hear, recognise and use the sounds within words. Children are also taught the correspondence between sounds and graphemes, spelling patterns that represent them. Phonics is currently the main way in which children in British primary schools are taught to read in their earliest years. So children will also be taught other skills such as whole word recognition. These are our red words, which Miss Kadora will tell you all about later on in the read, write, ink phonics that we do at Yasmina. Book skills and a love of enjoyment of reading. So in nursery, what we start off with is phase 1 phonics. So phase 1 phonics is built up of 7 different aspects. These are environmental sounds, instrumental sounds, body percussion, alliteration, voice sounds, and oral blending and segmenting. So we tend to spend around a term learning phase 1 phonics to prepare them with their listening skills. Listening is the most important thing before we even begin to learn any phase 2 phonics. The children need to listen to understand the sounds before we even move on and build with that. So this is why we do environmental sounds, where we go on learning sound walks. We'll have the instruments, we'll make different sounds with the instruments, we'll make body percussion with our bodies, which the children love. So phonics learning relies on children being able to hear and distinguish sounds within words. Children with poor listening or poor attention skills can struggle with learning phonics. So again, this is why we really emphasize on the listening skills before we build on any sound knowledge with the children. Listening skills begin at birth, and there are lots of things that parents can do to support these skills. Children are also taught listening and attention skills during their early years education. So this is one of our key aspects of our framework that we follow, is listening attention as well. So the first phase of formal phonics education is called phase 1 phonics, and it focuses again on the key listening skills. Without these skills, the children may struggle to master the next stage of their phonics learning. So for example, what we might do with the children, we'll have a small whole class input of phonics where we'll all sit together. We'll learn a sound a week. So for example, we might say, can you find the things that begin with a S? And the children will look at the different pictures and be able to identify what things begin with a S sound. And also another example is rhyming. So this important part of our phase 1 is rhythm and rhyme as well. So, we might have frog. Can you find a picture that rhymes with frog? And the children would say dog, and then we'll look and match the different rhyming pictures together. And again, all of these 7 aspects are really fundamental of securing that phase 1 phonological awareness before they then move on to the phase 2. So again, if you have any questions on the phase 1 phonics, please put them in the chat. And I'll just pass you over to Miss Kadora now, who's going to go through our phase 2 phonics with read, write, ink.
Hello everybody, I am Mrs. Kadora, lead of FS2 Read, Write, Ink. As Ms. Riddle has said earlier, I am going to share my screen with you so that I can go through the Read, Write, Ink aspect of phonics. Okay, so Read, Write, Ink is a literacy program that we follow here. It starts with FS2 right through to year 2, and we start with Read, Write, Ink in term 3 for FS1. So having a look here, we are going to focus on our set 1 sounds in FS1 and in FS2. So all the sounds that are shaded are our set 1 sounds. And we have got our stretchy sounds. So for example, if you introduce the sound th to the children, you will let them know that this is a stretchy sound, and we can really stretch it out by making the sound th. And the same with the rest of the sounds in this row. And then we have our bouncy sounds. For example, b, we can bounce it by going b, 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 b. And then we have our vowel sounds, a, e, I, and a. If you have a look over here, these are our set 2 sounds, and these sounds are only taught to the children when they go to year 1, and set 3 sounds are taught when the children go to year 2. So again, for FS1 and FS2, we are only focusing on our speed sounds, set 1 sounds. So what we do in phonics is we will first introduce the set 1 sounds picture side first. So for example, the first sound that we do introduce to the children would be but we would show them the picture side first, ask them what can they see in the picture, turn to their partner, tell your partner what you see, and then the teacher receives feedback from the children. So then, for example, if you're having a look over here, this would be Macy, mountain, mountain. So we will tell the children when you see the picture side of the card, we say Macy, mountain, mountain. And then when we look at the sound, we would say And then we play a little game with the children to help them with recognizing and distinguishing the difference between the picture side of the card and then the sound side of the card. These are also important because the picture sides of the cards also come with writing rhymes, and this also helps us teach the children how to form each sound of the set 1 sounds. So teaching letter formation, what works best for the children, again, we show them the picture sides of the card and we air write these phrases. So we would say to the children, can everybody have their magic pencils up in the air? Remember, we use 3 fingers when it comes to writing. We've got Tommy Thumb, Peter Pointer, and Toby Toe. Bring them together because we hold a pencil with our tripod grip. Tripod means 3 fingers, and then we air write the sound. So we would say, let's try and write Remember our writing rhyme? So we go Macy, mountain, mountain. So in Read Write Inc, we also have my turn, your turn. We do a lot of teacher modeling to the children. So we explain to the children, it's my turn, magnet eyes on me, watch me, and we model what our expectation is, and then we give it over to the children. We tell them, okay, now it is your turn, and then they would model what we did when we introduced the sound. Okay, then we go into using a pencil at a table to encourage the children to write it. And obviously we praise them a lot for their efforts, and there's loads of fun praises that we do use in Read Write Inc. For example, we've got our marshmallow clap, where we pretend there's a massive marshmallow between our hands, we clap our hands, and we know a round of applause. So we do try to make these lessons very fun and very child friendly, so that we always have engagement in the lesson and the children are focusing on what is being taught. So what can you do? Use pure sounds and not letter names. So when introducing the alphabet to the children, with phonics, we're trying to teach the children the skill of blending and segmenting. So they need to know the pure sounds of each letter. By introducing A, B, C, D, this doesn't help the children use the skill or apply the skill with blending and segmenting. So for example, as I said before, with the letter M, we would introduce it as M and not M. So teach the picture names again. So Macy, mountain, mountain first, and then we would introduce the sound M. And then practice reading the sound speedily. So once the children learn the first 5 sounds, that is shown over here. Okay, we've got M and we've got A, we have S, and we've got D, and we have t. So once we've introduced those first 5 sounds to the children, we can already practicing blending and segmenting with our green words. And I'll show that to you on the next slide coming. And then also we need to review. The more practice the children have with revising the speedy sounds and with Fred Talk, which is blending the green words, the more they're going to retain the knowledge and be able to use the skill to decode any word that comes their way. So also what we do is we use the handwriting phrases, and this helps them again with the formation of their sounds. So for example, here we have a picture side of a card and we have the sound side. So like I said earlier, we would introduce the picture side of the card and then going over to the sound side of the card. Once the children recognize the sound sides of the cards, we will then keep the cards sound up, okay? Using our green words, we will then help them Fred talk. We have a little Fred puppet, and we teach the children that Fred can only speak in sounds. He can't speak in words. And so we call this Fred talk, and we will ask the children to Fred talk the green words. So we would model to them to help them gain confidence, and then eventually they will be doing it by themselves. So when they have a look at the green word, they would be able to go s, a, t, sat. So again, with Fred Talk here, we've got the sound sides of the cards. We've reviewed m, we've reviewed a, we've reviewed t. We can put them together, have a look at a green word, and Fred Talk m, a, t, mat. So Fred Talk routine, say the word in sounds as Fred, because again, Fred can't read words, he can only speak in sounds. So we would orally blend with the children first, building on those listening skills that they have learned in phase 1 phonics in nursery. And we will let them hear the sounds k, a, t, and then ask them to jump in and can they say the whole word. So children, I'm going to orally blend a sound. I'm going to Fred talk it to you. K, a, t. Can you tell me the whole word? And then they would say cat. So say the word in sounds followed by the whole word. Example, k, a, t, cat. And then we ask the children to repeat. So we do a lot of Fred games and Fred talk throughout the day. So for example, if it is lunchtime in school, we can say to the children, shall we have some lunch? And then the children would say lunch. Would you like to play? And the children would then say play. Let's put on your coat. And then the children jump in and say coat. But again, in Read, Write, Ink in FS1 and FS2, we're only learning the set 1 sounds. This sound over here is a set 2 sound, and this sound over here is a set 3 sound, and that is only taught in year 1 and then year 2. So 10 things your children learn when you read stories and poems a day. Okay, so what you can do to help them at home is help them sustain their attention. So if you have story time at nighttime before bed, let them sit with you, go through a story, appreciate rhythm and rhyme. So if you hear there are rhyming words in a story, ask your child, can you hear a rhyme? Which words rhyme together? So mat, cat, for example, can they choose the same word family? Build pictures in their minds from the words from the page. So if they're unable to read the text, you can then speak to them and talk to them about what is seen on the page and really help their imagination. Help them understand humor and irony. Use words and phrases in different contexts, because this also will help them later in writing. So you can build on new vocabulary and teach them words that have the same meaning, but they are different words. So, and then think about the characters, the feelings, and appropriate voices. So if you're reading a story and there are several characters in the book, it's really helpful if you're able to like change your voice and make it very engaging and interesting by changing your voice to suit each character. follow a plot with all its twists and turns, and understand suspense and predict what's going to happen next. So we also do this in school, where we'll introduce a book to the children. We'll first have a look at the front cover. We will say to the children, what can you see in the front cover of the storybook? Turn to your partners, talk to your friends. What can you see? Next questions would be, what do you think the story is about? They would give you feedback. Why do you think the story would be about that? And then they would talk about what they've seen on the page. And then as you're reading, you can then, ask them, what do you think is going to happen next? Why do you think that's going to happen next? Because that's really, really going to help them build their imagination. And then lastly, link sentences and ideas from one passage to the next. So top tips for story time: make it a treat, make it something that your child can look forward to. Don't make it sound or seem like it's a chore, because we really want to embed the love of learning and reading in our children at home like we do in school. So make it a treat, mummy time or daddy time before bed. We're going to look at a story for about 10-15 minutes, and children get excited about that. Make it a special quiet time, show curiosity. So again, asking open-ended questions. What do you think the story is about? I'm not sure what it's about. Do you think you can tell me? I really want to know what's going to happen, or what's going to happen next, or I really want to know what this character is going to do. So if you show an interest in the book, your children will automatically model that and follow your curiosity and your interest. Read the story once without stopping. Talk about the story. Don't ask testing questions. So again, keep them really open, keep them very friendly. You don't want you to put your child on the spot and think that now this is, I need to learn, or I'm busy learning and now my parents are questioning me. We want to make this a happy time for them at home. Link the story to other stories and experiences. So you can link it to stories that are similar. So for example, if it's a superhero story and the story is about Batman, then you can open it and say, well, what other superheroes do you know? And they might say Superman. And then you can say, okay, well, what's the difference between Batman and Superman? Or even experiences. So you've gone to Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers has got loads of superheroes there. So you can also talk about experiences. And read favorite stories over and over and over again. And like I said earlier, use different voices for different characters. And most importantly, love the book that you read. So here we have online resources available. We have the Ruth Miskin website for parents. So you can visit this site and lots of information about Read Write Inc will come up, including how to say the pure sounds of set 1, so that if you are able to at home to speak to your children and help your children with reading the sounds and words, the green words, you're able to do that. And then also here are ebooks for home reading on the Oxford Owl. So everybody should have, when we come to school, an Oxford Owl login, and there are lots of ebooks available, including Read Write Inc ebooks, which are suited to each child's level. And then also Ruth Miskin can also be found on Facebook, where you can follow her Facebook page. And again, there's lots of parent videos that do come up with, how to say the sounds, how to blend, how to read to your children. So all that information is out there, and you don't have to pay for it. Does anybody have any questions?
Hi. Do we get this copy of the slides?
Yes, we can share the parent workshop with you.
Thanks a lot.
No problem.
I have one minor question.
Yes.
Will our children, when they come from school, that we will have to work with them on their homeworks, or all the homeworks will be solved in the school during the break times?
So we don't give the children homework. There is one thing that we do is we have guided reading. So in FS2 we give a yellow diary to the children, and they read a book every single week. So they read with us in class first, and then we send the book home and they read at home. But in terms of homework, we don't give homework. And also in terms of teaching them phonics, we have a phonics lesson from Monday right through to Friday. We teach phonics every single day. So all of the sound recognition, the Fred talk for the green words, all of that is done with a class teacher inside school. It's only if you would like to assist at the weekends, you can. We don't advise parents to do extra work or homework during the week, because the children do have a very long day here at school and they are always learning, and they're also learning through play. So we don't want to make them too tired.
Hello, I have a question.
Yes.
You know, the kids, their type of understanding is different than each other.
Yes.
If there's a kid that he can able to understand quickly, and there's a kid he cannot understand quickly, how you can deal with them?
So in Read Write Inc, we assess the children every 6 weeks. So every 6 weeks we go through the assessment, and based on the assessments, we then group the children as to their ability. And then we break the class up in those different groups, and then the teacher teaches those children towards their ability, because from group A all the way to group purple, that's 7 different groups, and that's where you would be when you end FS2. Children would be on the purple storybooks. And so we ensure that each child is in their Goldilocks spot, as we call it in Read Write Inc. So everything is just right for their level, and that's what we will teach the children.
One more question from my side. Kids have different personalities. Some of them likes to be on a spot. Some people, some kids are very shy to share anything. Will you do any kind of personal assessment before they join the classes?
So in terms of, this is what's really lovely about Read Write Inc. We don't put any children on the spot. So for example, when a sound has been introduced, we always use something called turn to your partner. So we use the hand gesture, turn to your partner, and we get the children to speak amongst themselves. The teacher will be around the groups, listening to what the children are saying, and then she will talk to the groups as opposed to whole class. And that way, when the teacher is going through the different groups and the children are speaking to each other, nobody is forgotten and nobody is left behind. Everybody had an opportunity to speak to each other. And sometimes this works really well because, as you said, there are some children who don't like to be on the spot. So it's a lot easier to speak to peers than to speak to the teacher and the whole class. Could you please repeat your second part to that question?
What I meant actually is what Yasmina Academy is doing regarding building their personalities. The different personalities, how are you treating with them? How are you gonna do the assessment to know each of these kids' personalities?
So what we do when we start school in the end of August, beginning of September, we do a baseline with the children. So we always assess the baselines of the children, and that would be done one-on-one with the class teacher. It's not done together as a whole class or with groups. And the teacher does get to know each student and individual, because everyone is different and we need to cater to everyone's interests and try and nurture those interests within the classroom and with what we learn and what we teach them. So the teacher will definitely have the opportunity for the first 2 to 3 weeks to definitely get to know each and every child in their class. Does that answer your question? Because Miss Riddle can also answer your question as well.
How many kids are in every class?
There is 25 children in each class.
25 children.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, hello, I have just one question.
Yes.
Actually, my son is left-handed.
Yes.
Would he struggle or it will be normal? He's my first kid, so I have no experience.
He won't struggle. The difference with being left-handed and right-handed, when you write right-handed, you have a pulling motion, and when you are left-handed, you are writing by pushing the pen on the paper. But what we will do is we will ensure that he is sat in a way when we do introduce writing that he doesn't knock elbows with the person next to him. But it definitely, the formation of the sounds is the same. So Macy, mountain, mountain, or around the apple, down the leaf. He's not going to have any issues with forming his sounds if he's left-handed.
Yeah, I have a question here. By end of the FS2, what we are expecting for the kid actually to learn? For example, saying a sentence themselves or writing a sentence themselves in terms of writing and reading.
So at the end of FS2, the expectation is that the children are able to segment and blend words together, read simple sentences, and hold a sentence using their phonics knowledge.
How about writing?
Yes, so holding a sentence means that they are able to write their own sentence using the sound knowledge that they've learned throughout the academic year.
I have one question.
Yes.
When you receive the paper that he's confirmed accepted for his registration? Because I only receive an email.
Hi, good morning. I think you can probably hear me. I've just taken it from Miss Kadora because I think some of the questions were heading out of phonics PIM territory and into sort of admissions and things like that. If anybody's got any questions about admissions and things, please feel free to drop them over to admissions. They'll be the best place to answer them. I can see somebody's put about children coming from Alpha San. Will they be in the same class as their friends? We do work closely with Alpha San, and Alpha San will send us friendship groups and things for the children to be paired with their friends. So has anybody got any questions they'd like to ask about the phonics in particular? If you think of anything.
I have a, yeah.
Yes, hi.
Hello, when are the kids supposed to be able to sound all the sounds, including G and J? My daughter has a problem, you know, she says for J, she says, like if she wants to say Jordan, for example, she says Jordan. Is this a problem or she's in FS1?
Okay, so I think obviously children all progress at different rates, and one of the things we would say at this time is they might not all have the perfect sounds yet, yeah. But the thing that is really important is really supportive modelling. So if they're mispronouncing some of the sounds and not quite got it right, the best thing you can do as a parent is just really supportively model how that's saying. So if she's not quite saying Jordan correctly, the J sound, it's just to really reinforce that by modeling it to them. And then just having a chat with your class teacher as well, because I think these things work best when class teachers and parents are on the same page and are doing the same thing. But yes, it wouldn't be an issue at the moment as we head towards the end of FS2 if we're still have some issues with pronunciation, speech. We do have speech and language therapy and things that come into school, which we can then support the children with at that. But that's a conversation that you would be able to have with your class teacher, just to help support and encourage to do that.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Okay, no worries. Are there any more phonics questions out there?
Good morning.
Similar. Go ahead.
Good morning.
I'd like to know whether the level of the child would be shared with the parents, like if they are grouped into a specific group, would that be shared with the parents?
Yes, so we have 2 parents teacher conferences that happen at one in the autumn term, one in the spring term, and that is something that we include as part of those conversations there. It also probably is done on a little bit more of an informal basis as well with the parents throughout, because you'll be sent things to help support your child and reading books, so you'll know what level they're at by what reading books and what work is coming home for them to practice with.
Would be another question. Would we know what sounds they will be learning during the week so we can support them in the weekend?
Yes, so we have a weekly newsletter which goes out, and the sounds that they're doing are on there. So if you have a check-in on the weekly newsletter, that's the best place to find out. But also I think in nursery they've started to send home as well the letters that they're doing, the sounds that they're doing that week. Because yeah, it's great if you guys at home know what we're doing. That's super supportive for us in just helping to practice it, spot it when you're out and about, and help them with the formation and the rhyme.
My daughter is in nursery, but I haven't received any information on what sounds they are doing.
It's in the weekly newsletter. So the weekly newsletter that goes out, it's in there. I think it's posted on Seesaw by your class teacher. So have a look at the newsletter that goes out. It should be, it's in there. It's probably right at the bottom. So if you're looking at the top, it might not be in there, but I think what we're doing this week, what we're doing next week is at the bottom. So have a look in that because it should be on there.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
I have one question. Given the fact the kids now are more into technology and YouTube and these kind of applications, do you recommend any application or any YouTube channel that supports this kind of education?
Yes, so there is one thing that I've used as a parent and as a teacher, which I think is absolutely fantastic, and it's an application which is called Teach Your Monster to Read, which is a game. And it goes through all of the phonics and everything, and it's a little application. Sometimes it's free, sometimes you have to pay for it, but it's definitely one that's really worth watching out for. It's called Teach Your Monster to Read, and it has fantastic results for the children because they're playing games with phonics and they don't even really know that they're learning it, which is how we teach children all the time, is that we sort of trick them into learning because they're having so much fun they don't realise it. But Teach Your Monster to Read. I'll ask Miss Kirkby and Miss Kadora if they've got any more suggestions. They can pop them in the chat, but that's a great one from me.
And great if you share it in that email that you can attach the presentation to. Thank you.
For sure, yeah. Okay.
Hi, sorry, one quick question. I'm not sure if it's very relevant, but while it's cute for now, I think the sound, I'm not sure, the word escapes me right now, but the sound in the S's and so on, do you proactively help kids who still have that to lose the TH in the S and just pronounce S's and such letters cleanly?
Sorry, could you just repeat the question? Do you mean to help with their pronunciation?
There's a word for it, but it's escaping me. But you know, she might say, you know, words with S sounds or C sounds, they pronounce them th.
Oh, so they have a slight lisp to how they're speaking.
Like a lisp, exactly.
Yes.
Do you proactively?
We do. I think you're right. I think it's as parents, we often get used to the way our child speaks, and we don't necessarily correct it, and that can be sometimes where we don't see the improvement that we want so quickly, because we all know what our children are saying to us instinctively, and then it's only when they come to school that they sometimes can be a little frustrated because people aren't understanding what they're saying. So as parents, I think we talked about a little bit earlier, if we can sort of supportively correct them with the correct pronunciation and help them through that, we can do. And what happens is that the children usually pick it up through their environment, through their teaching, and through that support at home. But what we will do is if it goes on and it becomes an issue, we then have as our inclusion team and our speech and language team in the school that we can help to bring on side to help them. But usually by the end of FS1, we would begin to see that they were beginning to pronounce their sounds correctly.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. My daughter is now in FS2. She's going to FS2. And as you know, that children are moving from nursery to school level. So they are moving from fun stuff, playing, to a study, homework, assessments. So is there any system or attractive way that you are conducting to introduce kids to that? And even can I, like, as a parent, I use it at home to like attract my daughter to do her homeworks or
So FS2 is part we in the British system here we have FS1, which is nursery, and FS2. It's all part of the early years curriculum, so it's extremely play-based. We certainly don't anticipate that your children will be sat down at desks all day reading and writing, and we do it in really fun and engaging ways. So nursery is FS2 is kind of an extension of nursery. We obviously have different expectations and things of the children, but it's still part of the same play-based curriculum. So when we get children reading and writing, you know, they will do writing in the role play corner or as part of an activity. It looks very different to what school looks like, but the research and our experience teaches us that that's really the best way for children to learn. And we have, as a school, we have a really clear transition. So as the children come up from nursery, the beginning of our FS2 would look very much like a nursery classroom, and then we just develop them over the course of the year. So it is the same as nursery, with obviously just different expectations based on around it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So don't worry, they'll not be coming in and sitting at tables and doing reading and writing. We do know how children learn best, and that is through fun and engaging activities.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So as I think somebody said, how can you let the children depend on themselves, especially in study? We don't let the children depend on themselves. They're fully supported at all times by the teacher, and we teach them to be independent. It's part of our how we work as a school, is we teach the children the skills, and that's one of the great things of the early years curriculum, is it actually teaches the children how to be a learner. So we will teach them that gradually throughout the year, and throughout their whole time here at Yasmina. That's an ongoing process throughout their whole time. Okay, I can see somebody's asked but what the school starting date is. I don't actually think that's confirmed. We get that from ADEC, and I don't think they've confirmed the term dates for the next academic year yet. It's usually the very last week in August, the very first week in September, around that time. But as people in our early years, the children will have a transitional time for probably a week where they will do set days, and that will be communicated as soon as we've got the dates in school. Okay, well, I'd just like to thank you. I mean, we've got a lot of parents here today who have taken time out of their busy schedules. We've got 40 parents here who've joined this meeting, and that's just absolutely amazing to have you guys here and supported and on board. The main thing I would say is please don't worry. I know that's difficult as a parent, sending your your whole world into our school, and we're responsible for them. And I can see some people are thinking, my child's not been in your nursery, how will you deal with them? That's our job. That's what we're the experts at. As Miss Kadora says, when your children come in, we spend the first few weeks really getting to know your children and understand with them and work with them, and then we take our learning from where they're at. So we always meet the children where they're at, and we do it in a really nice and supportive and kind atmosphere. I think somebody said about books. Any books are great. I would suggest any books particular with rhyme are really good. There's some great books. There's a few really good authors that have books that the children can get to know. And when a book rhymes, the children will be able to do the story without being able to read. So any books by Julia Donaldson are a great hit for us. And there's another author called Nick Sharratt, and he has some great books as well. So we can drop those in there. Somebody just put, is there any Arabic classes? Yes, we have Arabic classes for the children as well. Okay, I can see somebody's got their hand up, so we'll do one more question.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, okay.
I wanted to ask, would you share with us a requirements list on what to pack for our kids? What do they need for school?
Yes, so we're also planning another parent information, which will be a more general one. Miss Kadora and Mrs. Murphy is our current head of FS2. They will be planning that, and that will go out to you soon. And that we usually do it when the children have started, but we've decided to do it slightly different this year. We're going to do it before the children arrive, so you'll have all that information. So there'll be another more general parent information meeting that will go out for you. And we just wanted to do this one now because our children in nursery are starting their phonics journey. And so we just wanted everybody to kind of have that experience and that knowledge to support their children in a way we can. So we'll send across the recording, and we'll also send across the names and everything that we've talked about. So are there any sports or activities? Yes, we have a sports team that come and do sports with the children as well. Okay, well, thank you very much for your time. If you're in our current nursery, the best person to ask about anything that's happening in your child's class currently is their class teacher. So just drop them an email if you've got any questions. We can also pop our email addresses in the thing. So if you've got any more questions, you can send them on to us. But thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate your support as a school. So thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Louise.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.